Yakal Halal Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Yahweh Kakodash, Babakwasha, 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 Shemai, Azanaya, A Palal, La Ha Yakal, La Ila Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Hatawaksha Harwakwayai. I pray to endure to the end, to ascend to the chariots of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, in the midst of the sky. Shalom. This is Montazal Lacham. Before I get this video off the ground, fair use. This video is for educational purposes and news reporting only. It has nothing to do with any monetary compensation whatsoever. Okay? Just want to put that out there. I don't give a damn about financial compensation. I don't care. Okay? For now, I have a job, so I'm not worried about that. I just wanted to get the information out there. I was going to use some of the information on this man Jason A's channel. I'm not using it to make any money. I'm just trying to notify people just like he is, try to get the information out there and put biblical scriptures with it. So without further ado,
we turn to Walter Kern. Very smart guy, journalist, comes on the show. Yeah. And he, this morning, tweeted out something that's since gone everywhere. And he wrote the following: "Can I blow the whole UFO thing wide open for you? You won't believe me anyway. It's only a matter of time until you hear things that will rock your world, if your world is rockable. You will have a hard time verifying them, but that's true of everything you hear. It's true of unemployment statistics. They will be very specific things, however, and so far out, so beyond your expectations, they will ring your bell, and you'll hear them from people you were not ready to hear such things from. The shells are all in the cannon. It's all about who gets to shoot it and who wins and who loses when it goes off. There's money involved. Lots. Hear me now, believe me later, as they say."
Turn of Dronapalooza.
Yeah.
You recall from last year, drones everywhere over key installations. They shut down Langley Air Force Base. They shut down Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They were seen for several weeks by hundreds of thousands of people over New Jersey, over a nuclear plant, over sensitive military installations. They were out here in the Southwest over Plant 42. And the same thing happened in almost all these cases. They'd come in out of nowhere, undetected. They'd loiter around, making themselves obvious. The lights are on. Nobody knew where they're from. They would leave and could not be tracked. None of them were shot down. We don't know who was behind them or what was going on. And now the same thing has been happening almost a year later across Europe. You know, you'll recall there were a couple of UK military bases, joint bases, that were overflown by these drones. I think we were told by our friend Chris Sharp that there were attempts to bring them down with the best anti-drone technology. Poof, did nothing. Now they've been making a nuisance of themselves over several European countries, and you have to wonder who's behind it, what's going on, where these things are from. We have exactly the right guy to answer those questions, right?
Yeah, our man in the UK, as you said, Chris Sharp, he's always been on this kind of stuff. I am excited. He has Liberation Times. He's got some great articles. He's really been dogged about the UAP thing, but also about the national security implications of what we're calling, drones at this time. So he just knows far more than I do about this, and he's always come on this show and given us great information. I love his articles. Everybody should go check out Liberation Times. But yeah, Chris Sharp, let's bring him on. Looking sharp, Chris Sharp. What's going on, man?
So I took George's advice from last week, and I thought we were all going to be in suits. I thought we were coordinating this, but obviously someone didn't get the memo. Hey, George?
Look how good that guy looks, Jeremy. Why can you not do that? Chris
He's great, man. He's handsome, man. I could never live up to it. Looking great, Chris.
Chris, it's great to see you. We've been following your reporting, as always, excellent work. Yeah. The thing that's different this time is you were kind of the Lone Ranger reporting on this before, and in the last couple of months, we've seen a lot of media interest across Western Europe. Other news organizations who covered this as well. Must be nice to have some company this time, huh?
Yes, it's extraordinary to see how many headlines these incidents have actually generated, and to see all the open source intelligence X accounts covering it as well. So,
the department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Why do you think that is? We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards. But did you know we print everything you need to get your brand in front of your family?
Something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now.
You don't think this is our technology?
No, I do not. There's no way it is no way it's our technology. I've talked to too many pilots. Why would we risk our best? I mean, I've talked to the best pilots in the world that are ours. Some of them, not all of them, and that have told me. I mean, one guy, I remember I was at the Capitol Hill Club. It was just an unusual encounter. A guy had spoke to a group, and he followed me out and said, Tim, or Congressman or whatever, he said that thing was 14 feet. He went like this from my canopy. And I thought to myself, why didn't he say 15? Why didn't he say 20? But he said 14. And then he said this thing, it wasn't ours. He said, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't ours. And that's all he said. I had a very high-ranking member of the Navy describe some underwater experiences they'd had with something that was doing 200 miles. And the best thing we got is probably 40.
It was doing 200 miles an hour underwater.
Big as a football field. And that's no fish.
So is it possible, given our current understanding of physics, for any man-made machine to go anywhere near 200 miles an hour underwater?
Not with our technology, no. The best we have is probably in the high 30s.
All right, so you're here today. You were just inside. You walked out. Why?
I walked out because it was worthless. It was the biggest amateur hour presentation I've ever seen about anything, okay? It was ridiculous. There were no answers. Every question that was asked by a member of the state legislature, great questions, no answers, no resolution. They don't know where the drones are coming from. They don't know who's doing it. They don't know why they're doing it, but they say there's no credible threat. It was annoying to be there. I drove 2 hours to be here today, spent an hour in there. I got to drive 2 hours back. The biggest waste of 5 hours in my entire life.
So why do you think they called this meeting?
No idea. Why would you call a meeting to tell people you don't know anything? I have no idea. And then when the legislators would ask questions, there were no answers. 5 hours in my entire life.
So why do you think they called this meeting?
No idea. Why would you call a meeting to tell people you don't know anything? I have no idea. And then when the legislators would ask questions, there were no answers. Here's the most frustrating part. The colonel of the state police said that he had a helicopter of his flying above one of these drones, a 6-foot drone or something, I can't remember exactly what he said, and he felt unsafe for his helicopter, so he just let it go. Just let it go. Where'd it go? Who knows? Didn't want to follow it because you didn't feel safe. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? I mean, honestly.
Do they have any idea where these drones are originating?
No, they don't. They would. Maybe if they followed that sucker when it landed, they would know, but they don't. This is a complete lack of effort, in my opinion, on trying to figure this out. This is not about ability. We have the technology, we have the people, we have the training, we have the resources, we have the money. It's just a lack of effort. I mean,
why?
I don't know. They should be saying, you know what they should have done today with productive use of our time, if they didn't know anything? Come in there and say, hey, legislators, we don't know anything. But if you get us these 10 things, do these 10 things for us, and the governor calls in this kind of action, we can figure it out. Will you help us? And then we would have helped them. But instead, it was just excuse after excuse, and we know nothing. It was infuriating, and I got up and I walked out.
You've been in the service, right?
Yeah, I was an attack helicopter pilot, Apache helicopter pilot in the Army, and I helped stand up the initial unmanned aircraft training battalion in the aviation sector of the Army. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, and these guys are not doing the job they need to do to figure out what's going on, and that is the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the state police.
And they're saying no threat to Americans.
They're saying no threat, but how the hell do they know? They don't know anything. They don't know what it is. They don't know where it come from. They don't know nothing. When I walked in here today, I was actually pretty calm. I was excited to be here to find out a couple things. I thought they'd be like, hey, listen, it's FedEx, trying to figure it out. But instead, I got the most ridiculous amateur hour briefing I've ever sat through.
Wow, that's truly upsetting.
Well, I come to it. I don't think would be a greater skeptic than myself until this era that we're talking about of disclosure. When you look at antiquity, you would think we had some pretty empirical historians from all 2,500 years ago. So you look all through those periods, and while they do mention certain things that are a little strange, they find a corpse that's bigger than normal, or they see a comet that they think is a little on. You don't get any description of anybody who says there was people from a different planet. And then, in addition to that, that you have to approach it from the religious. I used to teach the New Testament in Greek, and you get the idea that the whole religious experience in Christianity, but also in other religions, is based on the uniqueness of life here as we know it. And then you kind of see all these characters when growing up in the 50s and 60s with all these UFO stuff, and you kind of get on the ledger where you think, well, this is not possible. But then the more and more you see these films now, and we have much greater precision in cameras, in radar, sonar, and you start to see things that maybe we didn't. You become. I'm now kind of 50-50. I'm just waiting to see something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The elephant in the room is, if all of this is true, which I think the evidence is starting to make us skeptics re-examine our beliefs, you would think that the average person then is going to see them much more frequently than.
That's exactly what I said to my team. Yeah, before we started this segment, I made the same point. Like, why aren't skeptics seeing the UAPs?
Yes.
Why aren't we all running into them? There was the weird drone thing over New Jersey.
Yes.
We never got to the bottom of that. We have had pilots in the air, with videotape show us very bizarre objects that go faster than any aircraft that we know of on Earth could go. These are legit fighter pilots who are not nuts, and there are quite a few of them talking about what they've encountered, and it might make sense that if you were from another planet, you'd start with our military, surveilling it, seeing what it's capable of.
Hold on.
First at 10, a United Airlines flight coming from Denver to LA diverts to Salt Lake City after an object struck the plane midair, shattering the windshield and injuring the pilot with glass shards. Investigators suspect it could have been space debris or even a small meteorite.
In what crashed into a commercial airliner 36,000 feet above Utah.
When the pilot made his initial emergency broadcast, he told us that a window in the cockpit had shattered.
Heather Ramsey was recording the sunrise on Thursday's flight from Denver to LA when everything suddenly changed.
One flight attendant really raised her voice at the other and told her get to the back of the aircraft, stop service.
Moments later, they quickly dropped 10,000 feet.
The pilot came on over the intercom and said, unfortunately, we have some bad news. The aircraft has collided with an object. Then he informed us we would have to make an emergency landing in Salt Lake City.
Heather held her phone tight through turbulence and fear, then the tense landing in Salt Lake.
I was looking out the window just thinking, we could go down at any time. So it was really scary. We were all kind of holding our breath until the very end. You could definitely feel a tension on the entire aircraft.
This photo, now seen millions of times on X, shows the United Airlines pilot with apparent bruises and scratches to an arm with the plane's windshield busted. All 134 passengers safe and put on a new plane to LA, but what hit that aircraft almost 7 miles high remains a mystery.
That seems a little high for a bird to be, but people are saying, scrap metal, it could be space debris, we have drones.
The plane landed at LAX about 6 hours late. The odds of something like this happening, astronomical. According to the FAA, there's never been a space debris strike to a commercial airliner, and the chance of that happening is less than 1 trillion to 1.
Luke chapter 8, verse 17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. Okay, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. These devils are scared to death. Luke chapter 21, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves thereof roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And the powers of the heavens, of white privilege and white supremacy, are being shook up. They're scared. They're nervous. They don't know what these things are. You just saw the previous video. He's pissed off, one of the congressmen that were pissed off at the fact that Project 2025 and the Republican Party that's in control of all of this information don't know their ass from a can of paint, from a hole in the ground. Okay? So, you know, these people, yeah, I'm telling you, they're pretty much done. There's really nothing they can do about it. Okay? Let's go. Boom.
And the NTSB is now investigating this incident. Of course, they're looking at radar, weather, and flight recorder data. That windscreen has now been sent to the NTSB for examination because they need to look at that. But it's a mystery. It's always a mystery. We think it's a weather balloon.
We've heard that before. That's all I'm saying. We'll see what happens this time. Thank you, Gio.
Germany's defense minister says that the country must urgently strengthen its anti-drone defenses, but cautions against a hasty response to recent incursions.
Now, they're calling these drones, right? They're calling these drones, so-called, the chariots of the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, are being called drones. The little balls of light that you used to see, you know, that flew over the Queen of England's procession that she had, I think it was back in 2022 or 2023. And it was a ball of light that was that flew over their procession while they were spraying paint in the sky with these airplanes and whatnot. I wish I could find that video, but it's kind of difficult because I can't remember what the name of it was. But Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1, the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. So these devils are, yeah, they're definitely nervous, you know, because they thought that they were the only people in the universe. The reason why the Most High put out a decree that the wicked are estranged from the womb, that they're estranged as soon as they be born speaking lies, is because their pineal gland, their gateway to the heavenly realms through prayer and supplication, has been calcified. Okay? Completely over by calcium and plaque soon as they come out of the womb. So they have they've been cut off from the Most High God as soon as they come out of their mama's womb. Every last one of these Edomites, they are all about incredulity and unbelief. Okay? They don't have faith. It ain't there. You got to prove it to these devils on paper. It's got to be in concrete. It's got to be these individuals are carnal. Okay, you have to see it in order to believe it. That's their ideology. They don't have faith. They don't believe in Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai. They don't believe in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Okay, I mean, these people are finished, man, because you know you have to believe these things by faith, the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Now, let's go over here to, what is it, Psalms 68 and 17. And then I'll go back to the video. No problem. Psalm 68 and 17. The chariots of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. Where's the holy place? In the skies above us. Okay? You know, these people, because it's set apart from what's going down here on Earth. Anything that's above low Earth orbit, they ain't got a clue. Because they can't get past low Earth orbit. They told a goddamn lie for over 70 years that, or 60 years that I know of, that they went to the moon. If that was the case, there'd be apartment complexes on the moon. There'd be a highway going back and forth to the moon, and people be going back and forth to the moon every day, if that was the case by now. You know, because like it says in the book of Daniel, in the latter days, knowledge shall increase. Right? So knowledge should have increased exponentially from the time in 1969 when they claimed it went to the fucking moon till now, don't you think? And they had computers that would fill up a fucking corporate business building, okay, in order to get the trajectory just to get to low Earth orbit, okay, back in the 60s. Now you can run that same technology with a fucking cell phone, okay? So come on now. That's the reason. I mean, these people are liars, man. They speak lies as soon as they come out of the womb, man. That the Most High, that's been decreed by the Most High God in heaven, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, through his servant, the prophet King David. Or else it wouldn't be in the book of Psalms, huh?
Those remarks followed drone sightings over German airspace last week, which led to a major disruption at Munich airport and left thousands of passengers stranded. German officials suspect that Russia is behind a surge in drone and aircraft incursions across the region, including those that brought Munich's runways to a standstill. Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that the frequency of the incursions was unprecedented, but that none of the drones spotted so far were carrying weapons. The Kremlin has denied any involvement.
At a Sochi summit on Friday, President Putin couldn't resist mocking the claims, cracking a joke about airport disruptions in Denmark last week.
I'm not going to do it anymore. I won't send drones to France, Denmark, or Copenhagen, maybe Lisbon. But really, where else is it that they're flying to? But seriously, we don't even have drones that can reach Lisbon. We have some, and they have long range, but there are no targets, which is the main thing. This is also one of the ways to escalate the situation in general, to fulfill the Washington boss's orders and increase defense spending.
On social media, says police need to get the power to shoot down these drones. And in Brussels, the Belgian defense minister said this morning it's opened an investigation into several drones flying over a military base at Elsenborn near the German border. Who's behind it? Well, Denmark's intelligence services assess Russia is conducting hybrid warfare against the West, and there's a similar thread we're seeing in recent days. The Kremlin denies involvement because the airport has been the latest in a series of similar incidents of drone activity that has massively disrupted European aviation in the past 2 weeks. The first sighting in around Munich was 9:30 last night local time. Shortly after that, air traffic control was restricted, then suspended operations. 17 flights in total were disrupted. Around 3,000 people provided with beds and camps, blankets and food as well. Another 15 flights were also diverted around the region. It's led to a big debate about how to handle the drones in the immediacy.
Let's just put them on a back foot. It's very much the sort of the judo attitude that Putin's already had. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Russians were behind this, because it takes a state actor to coordinate such activities and to keep it quiet. I mean, where are these drones coming from? Nobody says, oh, I saw my neighbour going out with a few drones in the back of his car. So it's obviously a fairly well-planned operation.
It just hit yesterday. There's a trailer for the documentary, and here's the trailer.
We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it's not ours.
These are otherworldly things that are performing maneuvers that haven't been seen.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
This is so secret. There have been very few people in our entire government that have been allowed or provided access to it.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees. Have been hurt protecting and hiding this information.
Some people claim it would cost them their lives if they spoke out about these things.
You had information being locked away that could change the trajectory for species.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
The biggest discovery in human history.
So I want to play Congressman Burchett's soundbite here so we can hear the congressman in his own words. This isn't some random kook. He's a member of Congress. Watch.
What if these are entities that are here on this earth, that have been on this earth, who knows how long, and that we think they're coming in from way out. Maybe they did millennia ago, but they're here and they're in these deep water areas. And that's why, I mean, like we say, we know more about the face of the moon than we do what's going on there. And we have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas. And so for me, it just it creates a question there. And then when we have naval personnel telling me that we have these sightings and that there's these underwater craft they're chasing that are doing hundreds of miles an hour, and the best we've got is something that does maybe just a little under 40 miles an hour.
Okay. All right. Yeah, these devils are scared, right? Psalm 104. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in waters? Say it again. Psalm 104, verse 3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot? Who walketh upon the wings of the wind? Right? Who does this? Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the creator of the heavens, the earth, the sea, all that is therein, and the foundations of water. Right? Let's go to Zechariah chapter 5, verse 1. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. And I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. Where is the house of the thief at? America. Babylon the Great. How did America become great? Through theft of natural resources of the indigenous population of people that were here. Through lies. Were they broken their covenant? Were their words were smoother than butter? Yet were they drawn swords against the people to exterminate them? So this way they could take over their land. Right? And they did this from continent to continent to continent. After that, for the last 500 years, all the nations of the earth are mad, as it is written in Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7, and they're sick and tired of these goddamn Edomites. You know, they want to rule in sovereignty in their own country without having to be beholden with anyone, based on tariffs and extra money being shipped in and out of between import and export. You know, it should be a fair trade of natural resources. But Esau Edom puts a goddamn price tag on it and threatened to destroy you, okay, by using their wicked military forces that they've got in every country through a United States consulate or a military base in their countries. They're sick and tired of this shit, right? Can't blame them, right? And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and with the stones thereof. Okay? Now, you've seen the movie, what do you call it? Independence Day, Part 1, then it got Independence Day, Part 2. Okay? This is what these Edomites are afraid of. You know? Something that's bigger and stronger than them in their power. Okay? But that's biblically prophesied. I just read one. Matter of fact, I read 2. Let's read some more. Let's go to, let's see. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 23, verse 9. Okay. Ecclesiasticus chapter 23, verse 9. Right? Yep. Accustom not thy mouth to swearing, neither use thyself to the naming of the Holy One. Right? And this is what they've done. They try to name the chariots of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, of the Holy One of Israel, okay, drones. Right? They try to call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Right? Try to call them UFOs, unidentified flying objects, right? And this is what they've become accustomed to. You see how the biblical prophecy it fit that these bastards are the complete opposite to? Okay? Come on now. These people got to go, man. The Most High is going to destroy these devils, and they know it. They're running out of time. Let's go over here to Revelation chapter, they're running out of time to get their New World Order accomplished, because that's what they're out to do. Let's see. Let's go to the book of Jude first. Jude chapter 1, verse 14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Right? Now you just heard murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts, their own mouths speaking great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage. That's all this video was about, was individuals having men's persons in admiration of advantage. Talking about this person over here has got this amount of knowledge and he can, all of it through the entire video. You see what I'm saying? These devils got to go, man. The Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai done had enough of the goddamn shenanigans and bullshit. Okay? Let's go to, I was over here. I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 1, verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, which gives you rise to reincarnation. Okay? Reincarnation. Re means back or return. Incarnation means in the flesh. Back or return in the flesh. Understand? That's what the word reincarnation means by definition. Okay? Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. And these bastards are in the process of wailing, don't you think? They're getting exactly what they deserve. Fucking animals, man. Nahum chapter 1, verse 3. Why dost thou show me iniquity and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are they that raise up strife and contention. And these Edomites, that's all they want to do is sow confusion, contention, sow wrath. You hear what they trying to blame it on, that's contention. They want to blame it all on Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin on the other video was saying, it's not me. It's not me. They're flying over our facilities too, these drones. But they want to blame it on me, right? It's all about trying to spend more money on their military, their military, okay, in order to expand and make more money, okay, by expanding their military. But at the end of the day, they're going to be fighting against one another, like it says in the book of Joel. Hold on, let me see. Not Jonah, Joel. I was looking for Joel. Joel. Not Amos. Joel, chapter 3, right? No. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Joel. Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. Okay? So, the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai says that his people have been scattered, and they took his land and parted it amongst them for profit. Right? So the Most High wants revenge for that shit, man. Amos chapter 9. Salakia. Verse 8. Behold, the eyes of the Lord God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. Okay? So he's going to destroy these devils, but like it says in Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but a third part shall be left therein. Now that third part are the remnant of the house of Israel, because the only individuals that are going to get this truth, that are going to understand exactly what's going on by these video epistles that are being pushed out into the ether, in order for you to wake up as to what time you're in, because you're at the time of the end of all of these Edomite hegemony, rulership, white privilege, white supremacy, all of this shit. It's crumbling around their ears, and they're trying to control this demolition of their own making, right? They're trying to control it, but it's going to spiral out of their control. There's nothing they can do. Okay, even martial law is not going to work the way they want it to. Psalm 68, verse 17. The chariots of the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, are 20,000, even thousands of angels, and the Lord is among them, as in Sinai is in the holy place. Right? Verse 34. Skipping down to verse 34. Ascribe ye strength unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. His excellency is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds. Okay? There's no way out for these devils, man. The Most High is going to come into the house of the thief. Right? Now, we can go over here and get more proof of that in Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1. Okay? The burden of Egypt, right? Because I already read that, right? And the burden of Egypt, right? And this is what's happening right now. Verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. They need this controlled chaos, right? Because they want to bring order to it. Order out of chaos. Order ab chaos. That's basically what they're doing. Okay, and we're trying to notify people, let them know what time they're in, that it's time to repent and come out of the way of America, Babylon the Great, and chasing money. It's just time to quit. Revelation. Well, let's start over here at 1 Thessalonians, or end it off in 1 Thessalonians, right? 1 Thessalonians, right? Chapter 5, verse 1. But of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Now, in the book of Zechariah, chapter 5, verse 1 through 5, in verse 5, the Lord said that he will enter into the house of the thief. And the only people that steal natural resources, steal people's land, and steal their heritage, as it is written in Micah chapter 2, verse 1 and 2, okay, are these Edomite Caucasians that have no faith, right? They have to have veritable proof in writing and see it to believe anything. Okay? They don't, faith is just not, they were not born with it. Right? Verse 3. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So these devils are scared to death. They know they're finished, and ain't nothing they can do about it. And they're pissed off about it, and they want to come out against the tribes, take it out on them. So without further ado, I have to get to work, y'all. I understand what's going on. I just thought that I would make me a quick video of some information that came across my feed. Once again, fair use. This information that I'm trying to put out is based on a spiritual level. You know, it goes back into, let's get it. Okay, the copyright, where is that at? I'll just get it right for you right quick. Okay, hold on, where was I at? Boom, let's get that. All right, boom, Salakia. Copyright disclaimer 107. Boom. All right. Right. Oh, hold on. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And I'm not trying to infringe on the brother Jason A's information. It came across my feed because I subscribed to his channel, and I just wanted to put biblical scriptures with it in order to notify people that it's time to repent. It's time to come out of the way of Babylon the Great and do right before the Most High. And the message is to the Israelites that have been scattered abroad throughout the four winds from one end of heaven to the other. Okay, as it is written in Joel chapter 2, the Most High is pissed off at these nations for what they've scattered his people and parted his land. Okay, so he's coming back and he's sending his only begotten son, Yahushua HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly calls Jeebus Crossed. Okay, who happens to be a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah. Okay, and he's coming back to destroy these devils. And he's going to send his chariots into the house of the thief, like it says in Isaiah 19:1 and Zechariah chapter 5, verse 5. All praises to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Shalom.